And I didn't even have a cycle. I would lend it from other people because, as you know, like we all come from very humble backgrounds. So it brought that realization that the best things in life are actually free. Fortunately, we did not lose anyone out there this year. There were some accidents for sure.
Boom shakalaka, it's a beautiful day. As I always say, I'm your personal happiness coach, Clint Verghese, and it's my vision to make this world a sustainably happier place. And aligned with that vision, we're on a mission to help you live a happy and motivated life. On that note, I'd like to welcome you to another funky episode of the Engage and Inspire podcast, where we bring together some of the finest achievers who have excelled in their own respective fields of life. And they come together and share with us on what it takes to rise, shine, and celebrate a little more every day. And joining us today is a man who needs no introduction, a young boy who got himself completely funded to travel up to the highest peak of planet Earth. Yes, I'm talking about Mount Everest. And today we have Everester Harshvardhan Joshi in the house. My homie. Kya bolta hai, Harsh bhai? How are you doing, bro?
I'm super fine. Looking forward to our conversation today.
Fantastic. You know, I have to say this. What an amazing day it has been. This is the second time we're shooting the podcast. For the ones who don't know, we shot round one, and apparently the audio of that podcast wasn't like, it was just a little. Feels amazing to have you here. What I was saying is, by the time this podcast airs, we will have seen your TEDx video on YouTube, where Harshvardhan Joshi talks about
climbing Everest and what made me successful in climbing Everest among other adversities in life.
Wow. And I have to, for all the viewers, listeners that are listening to us or watching us right now, must know that Harsh battled not just all the other challenges of climbing Everest, but also you battled COVID a few weeks before you were on the summit. How many days exactly?
11 days.
11 days before you climbed, you peaked. You were at the peak of the highest peak on planet Earth. You were tested positive for COVID.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So, dude, man, tell me about what made you still, do Everest.
Grit,
Mm.
passion and perseverance to be successful.
Wow. Fantastic, man. So how did it all happen, dude? Like, cause you have to tell me about this. You've been quite a rock and roller in your early college life, and from that to getting hyper fitness, and now doing something as crazy as Everest. Where first and foremost, what drives you to do that, and over the period of time, how the transition has come across for you?
So I like to keep setting goals in life which are not just monetary. Like, they might be expensive, like climbing Everest, but you cannot just throw money and buy it. There needs to be more struggle, with which comes a greater journey. But again, many people who meet me today think I was always an athletic kid or an outdoorsing guy, whereas till the time I turned 18, I never ran over 100 meters in my entire life.
Oh my God. Wow. So when your fitness journey conversation begins from your age of 18 plus.
Yeah, when I started cycling to beaches just to enjoy the view or sometimes drink beer with my friends. And I didn't even have a cycle. I would lend it from other people because, as you know, like we all come from very humble backgrounds. So we never knew the value of fitness, sports, or how it can add to it. For most of our lives, we believed that it was not even an extracurricular activity because we don't know what's extracurricular activity. We just thought it's a time pass or time waste for entertainment.
Wow, so such a valid point, because also thinking about it, if you look at, if you're not from a very privileged class family, right? So having access to a lot of technological gears, especially when we were growing up, the 90s kids, was not that accessible to have like a video game or whatever other kind. Like, I remember my dad telling, if you want to have fun, if you want to play, then you go out and play. You don't play at home and play games. Times have changed. Today, gaming is a very big industry. It has like its own, monetization opportunities, and also a league of its own in terms of, and we are seeing the whole gaming boom that's about to hit India. It's very big in the West. You have Counter-Strike champions, you have like, gaming champions and stuff like that. So I mean, just putting it across, I feel outdoor activities was always part of, like, if you're from average middle class sort of a family, if you're a 90s kid, but it was not given a purpose of as a fitness part of it, right? Like there was no fitness given.
So, but actually, sorry to interrupt, but for me, it was opposite. When I wanted to go outside and play football or get into any athletics, my parents would tell me, why do you want to run under the sun? I was the geek, so I was playing video games. I would get the first rank in every unit test or semester and get that 130 rupee pirated CD for my PlayStation. Like I would work hard for 2 years so that I can get a second hand or third hand PlayStation.
Wow.
And then I would get the first rank so that I can play video games. And I never
Nice.
got to go outside, but I don't blame our previous generation for it, because since they came from nothing,
Yeah.
the only way to aim for a better life seemed academics, getting into science, technology and engineering, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So
And so true, right? Because I remember when I was growing up, my parents had just there was two straight laser focused conversation coming in. Mom said, when you grow up, make sure you have a job where you get a lot of respect. Dad said, respect is amazing. You got to also make sure that you make enough money, because you're going to be the man of the family. And, especially if you're in the 90s, where, the way the society thought around was way different as compared to how it is today. And, the fact that I was told that money and respect, these are the two important things that you got to have from a job that you get. And back in the day, it's understood that being a doctor or an engineer or a lawyer or getting a government job was more like it to be achieving those two gold standards, right? Think times have changed, and maybe it's a little difficult to make our older generation understand exactly how just putting a picture of your food you eat or the selfie that you get in your new clothes is a way of actually achieving respect and making money out of it as well. And I think it's about to change with the next generation also come, right? We are going to be there'll be a point when we will be 60-year-olds and there'll be the new 18-year-olds talking about something which might sound alien to us. But I think that's the gradual progression.
So 5 years ago or 4 years ago, my mom told me, why don't you become a YouTuber? I was backpacking in the Himalayas and looking at my stories. She was like, you should become a YouTuber. And I was like, no, mom, it's not my thing and it's not so easy. So my parents never suggested me anything or pushed me for anything, because they themselves were not sure. But they gave me the freedom and they just suggested me to be independent, to study, to have that stability. But they were so simple that they didn't say much, because they thought that I can figure out myself, and it was all a learning process throughout, and I'm looking forward to the future because I'm still learning.
Listening to you just kind of gives me a feeling that your parents were very modern to be a 90s parent, right? Like giving video games and access to video games, play and get your brain used to like those intense challenges during these gamings. I truly believe that there's so much to learn as a gamer. I don't at all think or feel or believe that playing video games, or like in today's times, whatever highest level of technology that we have access to in terms of gaming, is of no use. It's only entertainment driven. It does your, it builds a lot of your emotional memories, muscle memories, and it does help you become a smarter person for sure. I don't know how stronger a person or a fitter a person, that's a different debate to get into. But just thinking of it, as you said, right? Like they were, full pro. Your mom is asking you to become a YouTuber.
That is today, but back then it was just a bribe for me getting the first rank in school. And like
whatever floats the boat, kind of.
So like, although even though they couldn't afford it, they would do it so that I do the academics right. So it was more of that way, but whatever served the purpose, it made me a techie. And
you're an IT engineer?
Yeah. Most people don't know that, but yeah, I am an engineer. Like even today, people ask me, okay, what do you do? I just tell them I'm just another engineer.
Just another engineer. Look at that. Like in a country like India, it just sounds like I'm just another engineer, because we've got an amazing talent pool of engineers out there. That's so true. For somebody who's listening to this in Europe or in like maybe Australia or like, for them, they'll be like, what? Just another engineer? It's a big deal. Fantastic. But first and foremost, again, after all this conversation, congratulations on being one of the only 6,000 people, if I'm not wrong, to have ever scaled Mount Everest, to have reached the summit. Is that what is the right term? How do you put it across? To have ever summited Mount Everest? Is that what you say?
Yeah.
So congratulations. It takes a lot of superhuman level discipline. People think it's all a motivation game. You get motivated watching a motivational speaker's video on watching a Jay Shetty video or a Tony Robbins video on YouTube or Instagram. But the whole game is about keeping it sustainable, keeping it consistent all day, everywhere. So what were your preparations to get into this mode?
So first of all, I'll begin with is that motivation is not the right thing to depend on, because people think, oh, I'm not motivated to do something, or I'm not motivated today, and that's when they give up. But actually, discipline, consistency are the things which make you successful.
Yeah.
Motivational things are like very shallow and very occasional. You cannot count on them. And people have the wrong impression about being motivated. Even Usain Bolt or anyone else, they are not like pumped every day, but they are motivated for their long-term goal. They know I need to do this. Like, for example, I worked hard and made all the sacrifices because I knew I have to do this, otherwise I can die up there. So I have to prepare well because my life is dependent on it. A huge sum of money and many other preps are dependent on it. And obviously, I want to enjoy my climb, increase the probability of success, because still most of the mountaineering endeavors are like very unpredictable. The success ratio is less than 50% in most of the big mountains. So I wanted to give my best shot, and I started with doing some mountaineering courses. I did a lot of expeditions to bring those skills to use which I learned during those. I spent a lot of time volunteering, getting hands-on experience, because that made me efficient. And yeah, that was about it. After that, I followed a scientific structured training plan for 2 years before going there, so that I'm the best at my game.
Perfect, man. I think, very well put together in how you've prepared in that sense. And a lot of it is the emotional and the mental preparation that we put into play. Because no matter how good you are, like on a bad day, Sachin Tendulkar also gets out on a duck. Or let's say for today's reference, like Virat Kohli also gets out on a duck. Or Cristiano Ronaldo also misses his, shot. So it's all the game of how do you keep it consistent. So what is the key? What is your mantra? How do you keep it consistent?
Find a goal which drives you and then give it all in. Like, don't give up, follow it all the way through. And when you find your own Everest, it might be running a marathon, starting a business, getting that degree, or anything. You will eventually put in the work. So
How do you face failures? Like how do you rise above failures?
obviously, we all temporarily feel down at that time, but you cannot succeed without failure. Failure is the first step to success. So failure teaches you a lot, and if you don't fail, means you haven't even tried. So
That's such a valid point, because as you said, failure, we all go through that phase, and it's for us to realize and remember every time that it's just going to be a phase. You're going to come out of it. You got to have that sort of a belief that there is light at the end of the tunnel, and only then will you drive down, to that darkness, right? Through the darkness, rather. And what are some tell us some things that we can do for all our listeners, for all our viewers. What should we do on a day when we don't want to do it? Whatever we are supposed to do, be it waking up in the morning, or going out for a run, hitting the gym, doing some strength training, or picking up that phone and making call to someone who you've been wanting to call for many days, wanting to cook, to all the things that we've been wanting to do. How do we do that? Like, do you have a mantra? How do you do that?
It also depends on the purpose. Like you mentioned, 5-6 different tasks. So I usually think that, okay, what's the harm in doing it? But if I don't do it, you usually in life, especially when you grow old, you regret the things which you didn't do. You never regret something, okay, I made this mistake or what I did. Usually you don't even think about those stuff. But if you don't do something, you really regret. So I also
that's so true.
skip a lot of stuff. Like for example, if I skip a run someday, then I'll be in guilt the entire day. You shouldn't be that way, but I'm that disciplined in some stuff that for me it has become a routine. So people don't enjoy it at the start, a lot of activities, but they need to understand that first you need to give at least a few months into something before enjoying that, whether it is playing guitar or becoming a runner or anything. They say, hey, I don't like it, but they are not liking it because they are not good at it, and they are not good at it because they haven't invested, they haven't been through the journey.
Yeah. Oh wow, man! Such a strong thought in that sense, and quite simplified and put it so much. So tell us about the whole fundraising program you did, man. Like, what was the process? And because the whole idea was not just to be physically, emotionally, mentally fit, but also financially be able to take care of the expense. It's an expensive affair to hit Everest. So take us through some of those jams, man.
Yes, so for those who don't know, it takes like at least $40,000-$50,000 to climb Everest, and
Wow.
much more to prepare for the same, and a lot of other stuff around it. So my total expense for my campaign was around $70,000.
Oh wow. That's
And
almost like 50 lakh Indian
yes,
rupees.
yes, and even for people from developed nations, it
Yeah.
is a substantial amount.
Yeah.
So you can imagine coming from a developing country like India, that too from a very like lower middle class family, a very simple background. It is a far-fetched goal, but then with that came a greater journey. I was gonna go for an MBA after my engineering, and I had to take an education loan for the same. That's when I decided that rather I'll finish my this long-term dream first, and during that I would learn much more than I would learn during an MBA course. So I created this campaign named Sangharsh. uh, Sangharsh is a Sanskrit and Hindi word which means struggle or conquest, and this was the story of Harsh's Sangharsh to reach from 0 feet above the sea level near Mumbai to the highest point on earth, 29,029 feet, now 29,035 feet.
So
So
it just keeps increasing, is it?
yes, it is growing.
Is it like some inch of feet or something that it grows?
Yeah,
per year, something
around
like that?
6 to 12 centimeters every
Oh,
year.
A feet is too much.
Yes.
Feet is what, 15 inches? 12 inches?
Yeah,
12
12
inches,
inches. Yeah, so
Mm.
it is growing, and I created this crowdfunding campaign. Being an engineer and being a marketer, I created that campaign around this. I crowdfunded. I wrote 1,000 emails to possible sponsors. 10 of them got back to me. One of them set up a call. So 1:1,000 is the ratio you are fighting against. But yeah, it is fun. The learning experience with all of this is phenomenal.
That kind of very clearly shows you're an IT engineer by your degree, academic proficiency. You are an adventurer at heart, and that shows the fact that you've just scaled Everest especially when you were down with COVID. More importantly, just in between that phase, the fact that you're also an amazing marketer. Kyuki $70,000 is not an easy thing, man. Even for because I consider myself to be a better marketer than an artist, and I've been told I'm a great artist. So I'm just assuming that for me also, if a thought has to come that $70,000 is what we gotta raise a fund for a goal, would be such a challenging thing to look at. So you have technically scaled multiple Everests through the journey.
I don't know if I'm good, but yeah, I kept doing it, and somehow things worked out for me. Maybe I could be much more efficient, but yeah, I am way wiser than I was 1 year ago, and 1 year ago I was way wiser than I was 3 years ago.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's an ongoing journey, and now I am looking forward to market other stuff and especially do some things which I'm compassionate about.
Tell us about how traveling has helped you evolve as a person.
Traveling is the best teacher, so obviously it gave me a lot of perspectives which I would never get growing up in Mumbai metropolitan region. You realize how privileged you are, how civilized you are coming from this cosmopolitan city, and but then you also understand the simplicity of everywhere else, and you become much more smarter, like street smart in a way, while backpacking, especially in a country like India, where there can be so many experiences.
So true. I mean, when it comes to backpacking, I just takes me back to my college days. I used to love backpacking back in the days, and I still remember one of those very few vlogs on like places like Malana today in today's time, and that was some 5 years ago, and it wasn't as commercial as how it is today, because thanks to technology, today you can book a bus on Red Bus from Delhi to Kasol, Buntar, and I mean, you can get a flight, you can do this, you can do that. Everything is easily accessible. Get an Ola, Uber, whatever. Back in the day, it wasn't that easier. And I'm just saying, like half a decade ago, if not more than that. I remember my first trip to the mountains was in the year 2011-12. And it used to, especially in Kasol and those kind of areas, right? Parvati Valley, McLeodganj and all of that. It very less people and a lot more like, either the local villagers or the international travelers, real hardcore backpackers would be there. Roads tabhi bhi itne achhe the nahi. Almost a decade ago is what I'm talking about. And how the whole scene has changed over the period of time, thanks to, as we were saying, technology again has helped everybody travel. And travel does, as you said, when I used to travel a lot because I thought I would learn a lot about the world, experience different cultures, enjoy the various cuisines, meet exciting people, bring in all the memories. But with all that travels and that memories and the experiences, I've realized I've explored a world within myself. Because now I was a different guy when I was meeting a new person at a cafe in an unknown, uncertain situation. And it kind of helped me push through a lot of my emotional mental boundary of who I thought I was. Because every time you're introducing what you do, oh, this is what I do, this is, so there is a different perspective. क्योंकि घर पे आएगा, मम्मी बोलती है भाई ये ले 10 रुपए, मसाला ले गया नीचे जाके, चल फट फट.
This reminds me of a quote that we travel not because we are lost, but to find ourselves and to find not what you are looking for. You don't even know that you are looking for it, but you find it when you go through such new experiences.
Harsh, take us through with what have you learned with mountaineering, like, climbing mountains. What has it taught you? What is the core value you would say? You've learned.
Minimalism. Less is more, and it brought that realization that the best things in life are actually free. You don't need money to be happy, or materialism doesn't necessarily give you happiness. So a lot of things which we care a lot about or chase are actually nowhere related to happiness, because out there in the outdoors we don't have most of the comforts of here. Even if you can afford, you cannot carry it on your backpack. You can only take a limited stuff, but even in that you are way happier than you are in any 7-star hotel or living any moment, anything. All other happinesses are very temporary as compared to the fulfillment you get outdoors. So this is one specific thing, and rest a lot more stuff like leadership skills and everything.
Oh wow, tell us something about your leadership experience, like leadership skills being put to use, because Everest is all crazy. Tell us through how you can apply certain leadership principles in this whole Everest experience.
So first of all, you don't need to be in a leadership position to gain and to perform like a leader.
Wow.
Somehow I was the leader of my Everest expedition team and also one more Mountain Peaks team. So I was the leader of total around 22 people from around the globe. Me being the youngest, there was also a 58-year-old climber. There are Europeans, there are Americans, but I had the opportunity because of the experience or the skills of people's faith and love in me. But even otherwise, a lot of times, even when you are not the leader, you become responsible. Now I cannot think of exactly one chapter, but there have been times when someone else climbing from some other team uh, is suffering in a fatal position, and I had to rescue them, bring them down. A lot of such situations, and every day you are living on the edge. So that brings a lot of skills which you can also implement in your everyday life, and especially in the corporate world. So I cannot think of an exact story to emphasize on it because there are so many.
And so true, right? I mean, I'm completely with you on that. To be a leader, you don't have to be in a position of leadership in that sense, because the true value of being a leader, I always say there are 3 important qualities that are required to be a leader. This is sort of a framework that I have built around. One is a strong foundation of values, ethics, and morals, because that's the basis of it. You can only be a leader if your foundation begins with a strong, like value, ethic, and moral in that sense. The second is that when you have that sort of a strong foundation, it helps you with having clarity of thoughts. That all these strong belief systems help you have clear thoughts in how you engage yourself, especially when you're in challenging or difficult situations. And the third layer, or in terms of finishing the mountain of leadership of what I would call it otherwise, is the ability to influence people. Because a strong foundation, a strong clarity of thoughts, what are you going to do with all this, right? Are you being able to create an impact, not just in your lives, but in the lives of others? That's what makes a leader.
And you need to be really good, reliable, because there everyone's life is dependent on each other.
Yeah.
So if you are irresponsible with the technical equipment, with the rope, you are before and after some climber. Even if you hate the opposite person, you cannot screw up, because that person might die because of one of your silly mistakes or carelessness. So it brings a sense of responsibility and makes you a leader even when you are none.
Yeah. And wow, I mean, I love the perspective that you're bringing in. It's great. I'm sure it's going to add a lot of value to our viewers and listeners. Just want to, I want you to kind of just put the whole Everest experience in a nutshell, and especially take us through those amazing views that you've experienced, some of those very fatalistic sort of experience. Because I remember you telling me you encountered a dead body in your whole journey of coming down. When you was coming down, is it?
I encountered a few of them, but one of them very closely, because I slipped and fell on a guy.
Oh my
and
God.
I was like, oh no, I don't want to end up like him. Although
my
I
God.
ended up upon him.
Oh my God, it must have been really intense, especially when you're
Yeah.
coming down, half the
Yeah,
gas is
so-
out, and you also have the whole overwhelming joy of having scaled the highest peak on planet Earth.
I was not overwhelmed, because I knew it's only half the job done, and 90% of the accidents and fatalities happen while coming down. So with my experience, I was not like too excited. I knew that reaching the summit doesn't matter. Reaching home safely is what matters.
Wow. And that's again what I call as clarity in thoughts. You've shared so much about the brilliance of the view, and take us some of that, because we did that in the previous podcast, previous episode of the podcast, but that's the unreleased one, and we believe that we can release this finally. So just tell us about the whole Everest jam, bro. Like from the base camp, from your camp by camp, or like some of the key features that you should.
It's like a movie every day in every sense. The adventure, the views, the experiences, and the suspense. So, yeah, there are a lot of avalanches all around. Avalanches, a sudden flow of snow coming down a mountain due to various reasons like movement of the glacier, temperature, wind, earthquake, it could be anything. And there are a lot of dangers, especially the Khumbu ice fall, which is a glacier that is a flowing river of ice. So
Oh.
there are like icebergs as big as towers in Mumbai,
Oh my God.
thousands of them, and you have to cross them. So while you are crossing them,
So
they
it's
are
like a frozen river.
yeah,
You
yeah,
walk
and they are
through a frozen
moving. They
river.
are moving. So anytime a tower can fall, you are going from the roof of one tower to other on a ladder.
Okay.
And let's say one tower falls, and there are people who die. There are a
Oh
lot
my
of
God.
people who die, especially if there is an avalanche or earthquake or something. So fortunately, we did not lose anyone out there this year. There were some accidents for sure that Sirac collapsed on someone, and
What is a Sirac?
Sirac is a part of the glacier, a
Okay.
big
Oh.
tower of ice.
Okay.
So it just collapsed because it's
Whatever.
melting. It's
Yeah.
melting with the rising temperature during the day.
Mm.
Anything can change. So yeah, that is the most scariest part
Oh my
at
God.
Everest. But then another scary part is the dead zone above 8,000 meters. There is lack of oxygen, so you are on borrowed time, and you have to be quick with your summit push, touch it and come down without sleep, without appetite. Your organs are slowly shutting down, so that is also really scary.
How much duration does it take to reach the summit, and like from the last camp? Like what is the duration of trek in the snow?
So the total summit push is of around 5-6 days from base camp to base camp, and from the final camp, Camp 4 at the South Col, from the dead zone, you start around 6, 7, 8, 9 p.m. depending on your speed, and you reach next day around the sunrise if you are fast, or around 10 a.m. and then you come back to Camp 4 or all the way to Camp 2. And even before that, you are sort of continuously climbing since the previous few days, so you are sleep deprived, exhausted. It's a different ball game.
Oh my God, man! So from the base camp, it's almost a week to go up and down.
Yes.
And what part of the whole journey is the most intense? As you said, is it like the dead zone, like where the oxygen levels are really low?
Yeah, I think the summit push from Camp 3 to Camp 4 and from Camp 4 to the summit and back, it's like a time bomb. Even when I was at the summit, I am like, we cannot feel on the top of the world because, oh no, if I cannot spend more than some time out here, and it was so windy that it is very, very difficult in a way.
So, I mean, you said that avalanches have become quite more often, like the frequency of avalanches happening in and around Everest has become so higher. Do you think it's globalization? Like it has had an
Yeah.
impact on...
Not just avalanches, but the glaciers melting
Glacier
and
melting.
a lot of other hazards have increased due to climate change and global warming. We can obviously see that it's a very, very big concern everywhere, and in mountains 100 times more.
What do you have to say about those people who say that global warming is just another scam to stop Western countries from becoming more powerful, or I don't know, I mean, be more productive or something like that?
I think they are smoking something really good.
Really good or really bad? That's debatable. We wouldn't know about that. So what do you have to say about the future of mountaineering in India, especially because today you're an Everester, and as you were saying that there needs to be more infrastructure built around mountaineering as an adventure sport, as a hobby, as an activity, as a passion-driven thing. There should be more monetization opportunities for mountaineers. And what do you see is the future? How is it going to change?
I think there should be much more awareness in the industry because it is growing exponentially, but not responsibly and sustainably. So people need to bring in, first is better safety standards and be more considerable about the environment, that not exploit it to it in a way like leaving no trace, at least living it as we found it, if not better. So that is one thing. And yeah, people should read much more, be much more professional in outdoors, because that is something which really lacks, at least
Yeah.
in our country.
Mm.
Like, I'm sorry to say, but yeah.
No, I think that's quite a true thing, and with time, I feel it's going to change, and it's changing.
Yeah,
As I was
it's
just saying
changing.
a decade ago, the amount of people that I would see up there in the Parvati Valley or McLeodganj or going down, even to like some of the gypsy soul locations as I would rate it, was way lesser than how much people today we see in and around traveling. And I'm a call it a fool's hope or a believer's optimism. I'm a true believer that the coming generations are going to change the scene, especially in our country, because we're a developing nation. The scope of change that we can bring in and the scope of change that is essential is way higher than a developed country like a United States or Canada or of the likes. Final few words before we get into the fun segment. Some message that you want to give out.
Go and climb a mountain.
Go and climb a mountain and just go for it.
Yeah, go for it.
So if somebody wants to climb a mountain, where in India, like what is the ecosystem around it? Like who can they get in touch with? Of course, travel with Harsh at the rate on Instagram.
Yeah.
And is that a thing? Like just thinking of just a empowerment driven opportunity, you can actually put together a bunch of
Yes,
opportunities in that
it's
sense.
sort of my job to make people quit their jobs and make them go climb a mountain. So yeah, just go anywhere. Every place is worth visiting at least once, and in the Himalayas, of course.
Especially, yeah.
Yeah, so just go anywhere, climb an easy peak, 3-4 day trip, and you will come as a new human being.
That's so true. I mean, all those adventures that I have indulged in also, I can say that those have been life-changing experiences. So, all right. So this is what we call as the fun segment. This is the rapid fire round. I am ready. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Harsh is ready. And are you ready? Let's do this. So, bro, we're going to do this. I'm going to ask you like it's a this or that sort of a thing. But before that, I'm going to ask you. We're gonna know. It's like a one-word sort of an answer. Some of them are one-word answers. Some of them are this or that. So you got to choose between either or whatever it is. So the first one is, what is your favorite place?
Ladakh.
Ladakh. Oh wow, I personally love Ladakh. I think if you want to explore India and you've traveled a lot of places in India but haven't touched Ladakh, it's a different place. It's not like, I mean, of course, our Sahyadris are a different vibe as compared to what's down south or even in the northeast, but Ladakh is a different world in itself. One thing you can't travel without.
Bidet.
Bidet, what's that?
A jet spray.
Oh, jet spray.
I have a portable camping jet spray.
Oh, really?
A makeshift one.
Oh, wow. I thought you were going to say like a GoPro or something of that sort. No. Chal jayega.
Hygiene first.
Hygiene first. Perfect. Swim with dolphins or shark diving?
Shark diving.
So, okay. So, tea or coffee?
Coconut water.
Coconut water. La, 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 la.
Hey-oh.
La, 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 la. Okay. Bungee jumping or scuba diving?
Scuba diving.
The most dialed person in your contact list?
I call a new person every day, so nobody.
All right. City or countryside?
Countryside.
Strict schedule or go with the flow? What sort of a person are you?
Strict schedule.
Strict schedule, huh? Oh, yeah, man, for sure. I'm more like go with the flow sort of a guy. So, your next mountain destination?
Manasalu.
Manasalu.
Yeah, the 8th highest mountain on earth.
Oh, wow. Summer or winter?
Winter.
Winter? I'm also a winter sort of a guy. Your favorite book?
Bhagavad Gita.
Ooh, deep, man. No wonder where we see all this intense conversations coming in from. Your favorite movie?
Godfather.
Oh, all right. Beer or wine?
Beer.
I know. We've chilled on beer quite a long time. Favorite Mumbai street food?
Vada pav.
The longest journey you've had so far?
7 months in the Himalayas, 2-3 years ago, backpacking across states in India and Nepal.
Fantastic. Your dream travel experience?
South Georgia.
Oh, South Georgia.
Yeah, it's near Antarctica, the most beautiful place on earth, literally.
Oh, really? South Georgia. Oh, my God. And it's snow covered, I'm sure.
Yeah.
are you a person who would love to see a lot of places or deeply be immersed in one place and be that? Like, what sort of a...
At this age, a lot of places, but eventually niche, slow
See,
travel.
this is what happens when you read Bhagavad Gita. Deep answers for everyone, everything. Would you call yourself a traveler or a tourist?
Traveler.
Traveler for sure, man. Traveler for life. What is that one amazing thing that you like about Coach Clint's?
The energy.
Yeah.
The energy, the positivity, full power 24 hours.
Full power 24 hour. You want to say some good things about me? The cameras are rolling. We'd be more than happy to have it.
Uh,
No good things.
yeah, अभी मतलब कहाँ शुरू करे? It's a fanboy moment for me.
Chad, what rubbish, man. I think it's great to see what you have accomplished, to be honest. And amidst all of those craziness that you've done, like with COVID and scale, hit the summit and come back, it's a story for the book, man, for sure. Like it's one
Yes.
thing that, I'm proud to say that I know hashtag @travel with Harsh.
So the book is coming out in the next few months. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, man, 100%. We are also looking forward. What is the book going to be titled?
Sangharsh.
Sangharsh? Fantastic. All right, so that was it. With that, how was the experience doing the Engage and Inspire podcast?
It's always fun. So I will do a few more episodes later. And we'll see where we are 1, 2, 3 years from now and much more 5 years from now.
Fantastic. 8th of September 2021, we did the second episode together, but the first that's going to be hopefully released. But we're going to come back a few years later and update on what's happening in our life. And until then, you guys keep smiling, keep spreading smiles, and stay happy. Thanks, my bro. Really appreciate for you to make this happen. And as we said, it's my vision to make this world a sustainably happier place. And with people like you coming over, we can build in that conversation, bring in awareness about a lot of things with global warming, mountaineering, sustainability. And hey, just take us through some of that. Just wanted to also, you support a NGO, and we want to make
Project
sure that
Chirag.
Yeah. So you want to share a little bit more about Project Chirag? We'd be more than happy.
I'll tell you about a chapter which I experienced recently on one of the villages which I visited, Mokhada. It's in Jawahar district, like hardly 3 hours away from Mumbai. And it was surprising that they don't have access to electricity and they don't have drinking water. So you won't imagine in Maharashtra, at least in our region, that there is lack of water, there is lack of drinking water. So they have some sources of water few kilometers away in the hilly region. So people have to hike 4 hours every day to fill 2 pots of water, 2 pots of drinking water. And then when non-profits like these intervene, they sustainably, holistically improve the lives. How? I went there to distribute some solar lights. And I thought, what would this small bulb make a difference? But I saw that those guys don't even have those torches because they don't have electricity. And then they lose 12 hours of their life every day. Forget healthcare and education. And when...
Basic necessity.
Yeah, and when... So, imagine the impact now. Then I realized on my second visit that there are girls who have to quit school, which is anyways 20 kilometers away, so that they can go to fill water. So with solar, this NGO installed a water lifter, a pump in the nearby lake or river in different villages, which brings water to the village. So they get accessibility to drinking water.
Wow.
Plus they get irrigation, so they can cultivate 2-3 crops a year instead of just 1 crop a year. So they get employment, it stops migration and many other issues which our farmers are facing these days. And you can imagine, like, first income, then education, then healthcare, and it might take decades for on-grid electricity to come there. But with solar, just in one day, their lives are changed. So the moment when you give them that light, and the first time some of those children are experiencing light, it's like a Swadesh moment in real. So that is magical, and I think everyone should volunteer for non-profits like these. There are hundreds of them. I really like Project Chirag and I am a youth ambassador for them. and you will get to learn so much more, and you will also value your own life and privileges much more when you see like the difference in many parts of the world.
It's great, man. I'm glad that you're using your voice to empower, to uplift, like people in its real core sense, helping them at least even find their basic necessities, and eventually also routing it to a way that can help them find like better economic financial opportunities in that sense, and that also giving them reasons now they don't have to bunk their school classes, school lectures,
and all this while trying to save the environment, while promoting sustainability, fighting climate change.
Wow, what a cause. Project Chirag, Youth Ambassador, Travel with Harsh @ Harshvardhan Joshi, a good homie. But I'm proud of you, man. It's great to see what you're doing. Where do you see yourself 5 years from?
Somewhere in a developed nation, inspiring people out there to go to the Himalayas, promoting sustainability, creating much more impact, and climbing more mountains.
All the best with all the adventures. And we really hope that 5 years later, when we catch up again, we're going to run through this clip and then the conversation will begin. And I'm super excited for the coming years. And I truly believe that the impact that you will be able to bring in the lives of, not just in your life, but in the lives of others, in the way you inspire them to go out of their comfort zone, to beat all the everyday challenges and help them climb their everyday Everests in that sense, through your various talks, through the content that you share, and more importantly, the fact that how you also are contributing with Project Chirag and things that you do. More power to you, man. May you always have everything you deserve and desire in life.
Thank you.
And with that, we come to the end of another action-packed episode of the Engage and Inspire podcast. Harsh here with us shared so much of wisdom and great stories and experiences of his Everest trip, and how he's bringing about a huge impact in people's lives, and also being an eco-warrior, building up so much more. And to know more, they can find you @ Travel with Harsh. Your YouTube channel, is that the YouTube channel Travel with Harsh?
Yeah, just Google me, Harshvardhan Joshi.
That is
just making it easier
outro.
For them. Like,
That is the outro.
It's not bragging, but yeah, it's easy.
It's easy, yes. Just Google Harshvardhan Joshi and
You'll find all my channels.
You will find all his stuff. In the meanwhile, you guys keep smiling, keep spreading smiles, and stay happy. I'm going to see you in the next video. Bye.